And we're back. All right, Dave. Let's jump into Gamescom. So, I mean, this is like the second E3, right? Like, this is like the biggest every year. Well, except for last year, but the last 2 years. But Gamescom is like the biggest PAX in the world, right? Essentially, right? It's like PAX and E3 come together and made a baby, and it's like Gamescom. Where,
Well,
we get
E3
gaming announcements, and it's for the public, right? Right?
Yeah,
in Cologne,
that's what
Germany.
E3 is now, or was before like the pandemic hit. It's just a
Yeah.
European version of that, I guess. But yeah, I see where you're going with it. Yeah.
So we're not going to go into every single game announced at Gamescom. Gamescom's like 3-4 days, and Opening Night Live. We're taking a lot of stuff from Opening Night Live with Jeff Keighley.
Well, that's where a lot of the big stuff
things,
came out. Yeah.
A lot of the big stuff, but we're sprinkling in some things that came in a little afterwards. Can't get into everything, but we're going to get into the most notable things from games. Okay? So let's start with everywhere. No, I mean that seriously. That's the name of the game. Everywhere. From ex-Rockstar developer.
Yeah.
They're making a new open world game called Everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're
Very,
doing
very ambitious. It's very ambitious.
And they're doing everything because the little clip that we got had a little bit of everything. And I couldn't really you can't really nail down what this game is.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's Everywhere. That's the name of the game.
It looks very futuristic. Like think of like a near future Grand Theft Auto on like a different planet, but like that kind of vibe where you could kind of just go where you want and do what you want.
A different planet.
Well, it certainly wasn't now times. Maybe it was on Earth, but I mean it looked
Grand Theft
different
Auto
enough
in
that it
space?
could have been a different planet. I don't know.
Grand Theft Auto in space. Fast and
Well,
Furious in space.
I mean, everything goes to space eventually, Dan.
Everything goes to space.
Yeah, I mean, I really need to see some gameplay. I need to see some developer talks on it. I know a lot of people are kind of throwing some shade. They're like, because the tagline or whatever it is like you can go anywhere and do anything and whatever. And it's like, oh, this again, right? Because every open world game is like you can do anything in the open world game, and I get it. But I'm gonna reserve judgment till I see some gameplay and like, oh, here's how the game actually runs. Here's what you can actually do in the game. Because it's always like, you can do a lot of things, but you can't necessarily do everything. Regardless of if you call your game everything.
Well, we don't know what this game is about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, the little snippet, so it looked a little bit of shooting, it looked like it's open world in the forest, but we don't know anything about this game other than the fact that it's everywhere, everything, and you
all
do
at once.
all at once.
Yeah.
Something that I was semi-excited for until the end was Dune. There's going to be a Dune game. It's called Dune Awakening. Got a new trailer, right? And you get the, Dune is set in the desert, right? And you got the big sandworm that comes out, and the guy comes out and he jumps into the
classic.
sandworm. Don't know what he's doing, right? But it's an open world survival MMO. And as soon as I heard MMO, I was like, I'm out. That's, not my jam, not something that I'm really into, but I hope people are excited about this. I know we had the Dune movie with Aquaman, like 2 years ago, and I know that was just like part one. And
Jason Momoa, he's got a name.
Yeah.
I like how you're referencing him by his DC hero name.
Come on, nobody that listens to this show knows his name is Jason Momoa. They know his Aquaman.
I forgot he was in that. He was freaking Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. That's where his big break was.
Yeah. Well, he was Conan. He was the
he was the Conan reboot. That's right. But that was after Game of Thrones.
No.
Yes.
Conan came out in 2011 or 2012.
Did it?
Yeah. Conan
Game of
came out
Thrones
like
was already
2012.
out.
Was it? Okay. All right.
Conan Game of Thrones is like 2010, 2011.
All right. Well, Conan came out like in 2012. 2011, 2012.
Conan the Barbarian 2011. Yeah.
There you go. I knew it came out in 2011.
Well, regardless, the Dune remake.
I remember I went on a date. I went on a date with this girl, and we went to go see Conan. She was like, "This is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life," and I never forgot that date. That's how I know It was like 2011, 2012 around that time.
Wow, actually, Conan and Game of Thrones debuted in the same year.
Well, there you go.
And
There you go.
I believe Khal Drogo was in season 1. I believe Jason Momoa was in season 1. King of the whoever's, I forget what their race was. I don't know. It's a lot of lore in that show. But
So,
I want to go back. You said you were with it till the end. The end of the trailer?
yes, when they said it was a survival MMO, I was like, that's not something that.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was a little weird. I thought the days of MMOs were over, right? Because that was like, I mean, it's funny enough, they did make a Conan MMO in the mid 2000s. They were trying to ride on that Age of Hyboria, I think was the subtitle of that. It didn't last very long. I don't know if it was good or not. It doesn't matter. It's not around anymore. But they did make a Conan MMO. I thought people were off MMOs and they were on to games as a service, like the live service games or whatever, right? But
That's true.
I mean, I don't know. I guess like, could you consider Jesus, what's the game? The Division. Is that an MMO? I don't think so. I think it's like a looter shooter.
Yeah, I would say it's a looter shooter, but I mean, Conan, we don't really know anything about. We just know it's going to be a survival MMO.
Dune,
But
yeah,
it was just Dune. Sorry, it was just cinematic trailer to get you
Right.
hyped that for the sandworms, right? So we don't know any gameplay. We don't know anything about that. So
I'm with you. I'm a little bit skeptical because I'm certainly over the pay per month for MMO service, whatever, all that stuff, the hardcore grind. It's too much. So
too much.
yeah.
And then we got new hardware. PlayStation finally revealed. Well, Sony finally revealed sort of their updated controller. Sony revealed the DualSense Edge for the PS5.
Right.
Very customizable controller with back paddles and everything.
This is their version of the Xbox Elite controller.
It was the Elite controller. We don't know what the price is, right? Because the price, they didn't say anything about price, but the Elite controller Series 2 is like $179. So I would start there and work your way up. So it could be $179 to $200. So Sony in pricing.
If it's sub 200, I would almost be surprised, but it's going to be, you're right. I think it's going to be around that point. Because it's like, it's an enhanced version of the regular controller. It does, like, the back pedal. The back paddles are great for first-person shooters with the
it has front paddles at the bottom, too. It looks like they had front paddles at the bottom, too.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But with stick drift, if you can just replace the stick, right? Like, that would be something that people
It does have swappable
sticks. Just replace.
Yeah. It's not the entire mechanism, but it is like the part that probably would go defective. So yeah.
So speaking of Sony and hardware prices, this didn't happen at Gamescom, but it did happen during Gamescom. The PS5, unprecedented. This is unprecedented. This has never happened before. I don't think it's ever happened. It could have.
So I think it's the first time in gaming history. Yeah.
You definitely could correct us and add us at Twitter if this
add us at Rated G on Twitter. Yeah.
There you go. PS5 got a price increase everywhere except the U.S.
Right.
The US, the price isn't going to increase, but Japan is going to increase. Canada, in other territories, is going to go up 5 to 10%. So it's not like a drastic increase, but
that's like $50 at least. I mean,
yeah, between $20 to $50 depending on where you are.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
And this isn't
for a system that's already $500.
Hard to get.
Well, that too, hard to get, and also $500. It ain't cheap.
Just to give context to this, analysts aren't surprised because Sony as a company has increased their prices on other hardware like cameras, camcorders, and TV. So they've upped the price because it's just the chip shortage is affecting everybody, right? Notably, if you listen to the last couple episodes, I want to buy a new car. I want a new car, and if you buy a new car, it's going to cost you another $4,000 to $5,000 extra, whatever the sticker price is.
There is a premium right now because it's hard to all the electronics and the whatever to build these cars. They can't get them, so they're like, "We'll just increase the price of our current stock," because that's just how it is.
So, and Sony has increased their prices 5 to 10% on other products. So it was surprising when Facebook or Meta is. I'm still having a hard time calling it Facebook.
Meta's the parent company. Facebook is the product now.
Increase the price of the Oculus 2, right?
Yep.
And people started asking Sony, would you increase the price? Because they did increase the price on other products. That was the reason why they did. They asked that. Analysts were asking.
Oh, yeah, sure. And they tried to be coy with it until they were ready to say officially that.
Yeah. They said right now we have no price increase to announce.
Yeah, right.
And they were
at
correct.
This moment.
At the moment. Yeah.
No, basically no comment. Basically no comment. Yeah, maybe it's a sign of things to come. I don't necessarily want to say. I know Sony has had some issues over the last couple of years and whatnot. I know PlayStation is their biggest market, their video games department or whatever it is, product line or whatever is their most successful.
PlayStation is the biggest thing that they have.
Yeah, exactly. I still love their TVs. They still make some.
I am a
products.
Sony TV person. I'm a Sony TV.
Oh, you love
person.
Sony. I know.
1,000%. Yeah. I love their TVs more than Samsung. Samsung is okay.
But it's interesting. Nobody else like Samsung or LG or Panasonic, any of the other big players, aren't also doing this, right? Because you look at the car industry. Well, it's true, but you look at the car industry. Basically, the car industry as a whole was like, "No, you're over a barrel. We're going to increase prices. We're going to make more money off this, right? Because cars are in short supply and whatever else." Not one car manufacturer hasn't increased their prices. I mean, there may be some really small companies, maybe they didn't necessarily do that, but everybody, Ford, GM, Toyota, Nissan, everybody. You want to get a car now? You're effed. So maybe it is a sign of the times. Maybe Sony is taking the first steps. They're the ones that are going to be out front, taking the slings and the arrows and being like, no, this needs to happen. It's going to happen across the industry. We're just kind of getting ahead of it. So maybe that's the case. I hope that's not the case.
Well,
I would like electronics to be cheap.
I will say this in an article from Bloomberg last month. They said Samsung could increase the prices of their products by 10% by the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
So
right.
It's something that Sony has done already. That could be followed suit by other companies if the supply chain doesn't change.
Which means if Samsung's going to do it, then LG is going to do it as well, because that means that okay, your profit margin isn't that great. You can't produce as many units. This is something that you have to do in that case. So maybe that's it. I don't know, but. Yeah, right, first time a game console was ever increased in price. I mean, that's
went up in price, but usually they go down in price because they want to sell more units. But
they always
every unit that goes out has already been sold because you can't find them anywhere.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly.
But as of this recording, I will say this though: as of this recording, if you go to PlayStation Direct and you log in, you can buy a Horizon Zero Dawn PS5 disc system bundle. Okay,
wow,
they still have
right.
them. They still have them. That's the only system they have.
That's fine. Horizon's
now.
a AAA game. It's not necessarily for me, but it's a AAA game. I wouldn't, your average gamer wouldn't mind having that to play with the system. So
yeah. All right, let's get back to video game.
Mm-hmm.
We did see Open Night Live. We did see another